Hi, I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections, and today I'm going to share with you the training process for new home inspectors at Structure Tech. So if you're the average handy homeowner watching this video, I'll tell you there's probably nothing here for you. This is really more geared for multi-home inspector company owners and aspiring home inspectors who are interested in learning more about what it takes to get trained to be a solid home inspector. I'm sharing the internal stuff that we do here at Structure Tech. So if you're not interested in all that, you can tune out now, come back next week, and I'll have something a little bit more generic for most people. All right, so why am I talking about this? Back in 2018, I did a blog post sharing the training process here at Structure Tech. And back then, the way it worked was we would have new hires go along and basically shadow existing home inspectors, and they would just do a million home inspections with other people, and eventually they'd kind of get it down, and well, they totally get it down, but it took a long time, and it didn't have a ton of focus. It was just go along with all these people. But today we have changed our process entirely. We are following what's more considered the adult learning model. I teamed up with someone who had gone to school on how to train and teach adult learning models, and we spent a ton of time during COVID, during 2020, when everybody was locked down. We spent a lot of time developing a brand new training curriculum for home inspectors. And it's our own internal curriculum, but there's a lot of pieces that I can just share with anybody. So here it goes, and I'm going to be looking over at my screen because there's no way I can remember all of this. So pardon me while I'm reading stuff on my other screen here. First step in hiring is, well, I'm not going to go through the whole interview process, but before we actually have somebody start on their first day, one of the things I do is I give a little taste of the reading assignment. I've been blogging a ton since 2007, just about one blog post every week. And one week, I meticulously went through every single blog post I've ever written, and I decided, does this fall into a training curriculum for new home inspectors on my team or not? Do I want them to read it? Because I used to tell new hires, I want you to read all my blog posts. But it got to be so long that I thought, I can't have people reading everything. So I tagged all of the important stuff and I categorized them. For instance, if there's electrical stuff that I want every new home inspector on my team to learn about, then I've tagged it under electrical. And it's easy to find. So we give them the link to basically we call it the internal study guide. However, it is public. If you go to the blog on my website, you can see it says, are you a new hire at Structure Tech? If so, click here for the training guide. And then it's all broken down, the study guide, into all the different categories. So I tell new home inspectors, get started on this. I need you to have all of these read before you go out on your own. It's going to take you a long time to do this. It's going to take you months, but start chipping away at it now before you're even hired. That would be my advice, because the sooner you're done with this, the faster you're going to learn stuff, the faster you're going to get out on your own, and the sooner you're going to start making good money, because I don't pay a lot of money for training. I pay a little bit of money. So that's step one. And next, we also have them read the employee handbook. We have a gigantic employee handbook. It is not some corporate handbook that I had some attorney write for me. Sure, there's a little bit of legal stuff in there, but it's mostly important information that home inspectors and other employees on my team need to know. If there's information about anything in the company, what do I do in this situation? How is a home inspection done? What do I do in this case? You can probably find it in that handbook. There's a ton of info in there. So they got to go through the handbook. They need to sign off, say that they've read it, and that's kind of the first steps we do before they get hired. All right, that's pre-hire. Next, we've got the onboarding process. For day one, we meet at the office and we go through all kinds of orientation type stuff, more traditional orientation stuff. I do an introduction to the team. We show photos of everybody, talk a little bit about the people on our team. We do a tour of the office. We go over the training process, tell them what they're going to be expecting during the first week. We get lunch together. We do a review of the job requirements. We discuss any goals that the new home inspectors have, and we finish any final paperwork. And then I also do the tech portion of it. Well, I have somebody else on my team come in who handles all the tech portion, and we make sure that they can log into all the different platforms that we use. For instance, for email and document management, we use Google Suite. For the daily home inspection photos and videos, we got home inspectors in the field taking hundreds of photos every day, well, thousands of photos every day, and we need to store them all somewhere. We have tried every storage solution possible. We've tried Google Drive and Carbonite and Box and you name it. We've tried everything. The one that we are using today that we are currently very happy with is Microsoft OneDrive. So that's what we're using for storage for all of our photos and videos. We also have a daily communication platform we use, and this is where we send out messages to each other. We send out posts. Home inspectors will post stuff. Hey, I saw this new electric panel, never seen it before. Does anyone know if this is blah, blah, blah? Regular questions that home inspectors have on a daily basis, announcements about things, recordings of company meetings, all that stuff. The platform we use for that is called Basecamp. I know that there's a competing one. It's called Slack. It does a lot more than what Basecamp does, but Basecamp does exactly what we need it to do. So we have them log into Basecamp. We've got our home inspection report writing software. We use Spectora for that. And then we've got our home inspection scheduling software. We use ISN, also known as Inspection Support Network. So that's some of the platforms that we are using today. Now, of course, I'm recording this video in April of 2025. Come May of 2025, some of this may have changed. So that's just what we're using today. We're currently very happy with all of these platforms. And then finally, I hand out the gear. We give polo shirts to all of our inspectors. We give them a whole bunch of polo shirts. We give them a sweatshirt, spring jacket, winter hat, baseball cap. I think that's all I can think of. We give them all the branded Structure Tech gear, and we want them wearing that stuff as soon as they start going out in the field, training with our other home inspectors. So that's day one. Days 2 through 5, we have them go out in the field with a bunch of various home inspectors, kind of like our old training process, and they're just there to observe the home inspections, learn more about the whole process, get a better feel for it, and that means that they're going to have 8 more inspections that they've attended each. And by the way, I didn't make this clear at the beginning of the video. We typically hire in bulk. We hire somewhere between 2 to 4 home inspectors at a time to help streamline the training process. Forgot to mention that at the beginning. So, first week, they go on a bunch of inspections. After that, we start the focus training. This is weeks 2 through 8. We call this classroom and field training. On Monday, they meet me at the office, and I do our training curriculum. We have this broken down week by week on specific categories. For instance, we might cover plumbing alone one week. We'll cover HVAC another week. We'll cover electrical another week. We've got it broken down into different topics. And that week, that Monday, I will be at the office with them, and we will start at 8 a.m. and we'll go to 4 p.m. or whatever it is. And I have crammed as much information as I possibly can into that 8 hours. This presentation draws on blog posts that I've written, training videos that I've created that are not publicly available, as well as a ton of videos I put on our YouTube channel that are publicly available. And like I said, this training curriculum, we created it back in 2020. It is fantastic, and there is so much information, and by the end of the day, I am always exhausted from teaching, and the people learning all of this, have gotten all that they can possibly take in a day. It's a ton of information, but they take a lot of notes. And then for the rest of the week, we have someone else on our team, a field trainer, and for the past, I don't know how long, since we implemented this, it's been my dad, Neil. He has been the field trainer. He will take the new inspectors out and they will visit house after house after house where we're already doing home inspections, where one of our inspectors is going to be there, and he will stop by, he will take the new inspectors with, they will spend maybe a half hour at the house, and all they will be looking at is electrical. That's it. I mean, just cramming electrical, electrical, electrical. So all the stuff that we talked about at the office on Monday gets repeated. They get to see just about all of it in the field. They're going to be visiting a bunch of houses every day, maybe 6 to 8 houses a day. So by the end of the week, they will have seen a lot of homes focusing just on one specific topic. And this is the adult learning model. It's not to learn how to do a home inspection and see all of these different things and recognize defects in all these different categories. It is to look at one thing, get really good at it, then move on to the next thing. So that's how the process works for the first, weeks 2 through 8 is focus training, specific topics. After that, weeks 9 through, I'd say, 12 plus, it's very unusual for somebody to make it through this training process in just 12 weeks. But for the next several weeks, they start going along on inspections one-on-one with other home inspectors in the field, a lot the way we used to do it. But it's a little bit more focused now where their assignment is go with the inspector, maybe for the first week, all they do is shadow and learn how to start doing things themselves. But then they start writing the reports, and we only have them do one report write per day because it takes a very long time. It takes a long time to learn how to write reports the way that we write them, and they need to produce a report, and then it gets compared to the seasoned inspector who's already doing the inspection, and then we grade them. We look at them side by side, and we tell them, hey, you added this, this wasn't right, you didn't add this, you should have, and we give them a ton of feedback dissecting every single report. And eventually, they start getting everything right. And once it gets to the point where there are no substantial misses, and when I say substantial, I'm talking about something important. Somebody commenting on a loose doorknob, I would not call that important. Somebody missing a cover plate on an outlet, I would call that important. So it's the stuff that everybody, if they saw it, they would write it up, making sure they don't miss anything that they should miss, and their reports are free of errors. Once they consistently do that, they're ready to go out in the field. And like I said, it's going to take somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 months on average for people to get done. 3 months, I don't think anyone's ever gotten it done in 3 months. But that's the whole process. Let me see if there's anything else that I should cover here. Oh, very important. Lastly, we need to do some paperwork. We need to make sure that they are members of the Realtors Association. They're affiliate members so they can get into houses. And we also make sure that they pass the National Home Inspector exam. Critical part, we don't let any of our inspectors start doing inspections on their own until they have done that. It's not that big of a deal. Now, I know there's some home inspectors who don't like the National Home Inspector exam. They have a very tough time with it. I'll tell you, here at Structure Tech, nobody fails the exam. Everybody passes it on their first try. It's not a big deal. I kind of put a lot of fear into new inspectors saying, hey, it's a tough exam, blah, blah, blah. Usually after they take the exam, they say, yeah, it was tough, but it wasn't nearly as tough as you made me think it was going to be. I actually felt very prepared. That's the feedback I get from everybody who goes through training at Structure Tech. So we also have them pass the exam. They join the American Society of Home Inspectors. here at Structure Tech, all of our inspectors are members of ASHI, and we all need to do our inspections in compliance with the ASHI standard of practice. It's a basic checkbox. The Structure Tech process is actually way more advanced than the minimum standards that ASHI requires, but because we are in an unlicensed state, I think it's very important for us to follow some type of standard. So we follow the ASHI standard of practice, and then the last thing I want to share is just what do you do if you are a solo home inspector and you're looking to get training? How do you get all of this if you're not getting hired by a company like Structure Tech? What are you supposed to do? I can tell you what most people end up doing. They take online classes. They take stuff that's offered either through a school, they pay some money and they watch a bunch of videos, or they have a bunch of reading material. That's all well and good. It's good base knowledge. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the training that I give in person at my office on Mondays. I am a little bit biased, okay? I don't think it's anywhere near as good as that, but it's a base knowledge. But then what do they do for field training? I don't know. There is no substitute for field training. You gotta go out in the field. You gotta touch stuff. You gotta do it. You've gotta see it done. You've gotta have an experienced home inspector hold your hand and show you how to do all this stuff. And where is that happening? It's not. I think the training process for new home inspectors is largely a little bit broken unless you're joining a company like mine. It's pretty tough to get all of that training. Now, I've made another video where I give some advice on how you could get some of that training. Check it out. It's called Training Advice for Future Minnesota Home Inspectors or something like that. I'll put a link to it here in this video. But that's where I give advice for people who want to get training on their own. Okay, I know this is a long video. I rambled a bit. This almost could have just been a podcast episode, but I would have been monologuing. So I made it into a video instead. Again, I'm Ruben Saltzman. My company is Structure Tech Home Inspections. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.